Do you feel like there's something wrong with you? Wonder if you're being very selfish and feeling like you're crazy because you can only focus on yourself right now, going through a very life-changing loss of a loved one or someone very dear to you? This is completely normal. Self-focus is normal, and that's what I'm going to talk about on this video today to help you to understand how normal it is so that you do not beat yourself up over that and cause more grief to yourself than you already are enduring and add more on to what you're already going through. I'm Julie Kay, helping you find your way through grief and loss. And yet the things that I share here on this channel definitely can relate to life in general, but it makes them even more important when you're going through the loss of a loved one and your heart is broken. If you can't handle helping others or doing as much for others as you have in the past or what you're used to doing, that may also make you feel like you're losing it or going crazy. But I'm here to tell you that you're not bad and you're not selfish for being in that state right now with the loss of your loved one. You need to have more time to learn how to help yourself, how to cope through it all, how to regain hope again, and how to heal along your grief journey because your heart is broken. This is totally, absolutely common and normal. And also, maybe you even just don't even want to hear other people's problems right now. So you may think, gosh, I'm being bad, or selfish because you're in that state, but you're not. You're not. This is your soul, yourself telling yourself that you need more time for you. I totally can relate. My daughter died suddenly on March 3rd, right before the lockdown. And so the whole world, as you know, as we know, what turned upside down. Everybody's lives changed. I mean, completely. But I'll be honest. I could have looked like I was being selfish, maybe, because my focus was not on COVID. I could not think about totally what everybody else was going through. And I knew that. I had to focus in on the fact that I had lost my daughter, figure out how to deal with that, okay? And focus in on my grandkids and what was going to happen with them next. If you haven't heard that story, I've shared it on other videos. I'm not getting into it today, but it was a huge, huge thing going on. And I had to learn how to just be able to go one day at a time, one moment at a time, one step forward. I had to know what I had to do and what was in my control to do and release what was out of my control. So this is so important for you to realize that you need to recognize what's in your control and then learn to release what's out of your control. Again, I have other videos that focus in on that. I didn't even plan on bringing that up on this video, but the circle of control is a real thing online. If you look it up, you can learn more about that. It's very, very helpful with taking off the overwhelm off your life. So if you're very overwhelmed and you just don't know how to make life manageable, or you can't even get out of bed, or anything of that sort, of you're very frustrated with yourself, please be kind to yourself. Realize that you're not alone and you're not the only one going through this, and it's common. Don't beat yourself up, okay? So I went through it. I definitely can relate to this. And Alan Wolfelt, he shares, again, a couple things about this in his series on You're Not Crazy, because you're not crazy. So one thing he says, if you're a caretaker, right? If you're a grieving caretaker who needs to step away from some of your caregiving responsibilities for a time, you need and deserve respite and intensive care yourself at the moment. So it's perfectly understandable to ask others to help out however they can and get the help you need. Maybe you're going to do less and you just need somebody to step in so that you can take more time for yourself. But whatever you need to do, or maybe you need to step away completely and turn that responsibility over to someone else. Whatever you need to do, get help, get a counselor to help you through this. I am a life coach that specializes in grief. It's not the only thing I help people with, but it's one of the things. I would be happy to help if I can, if you want me to. I do a completely free consult for anyone who needs that help. No obligation to go further with me. Another thing that you may do is move in and out of needing more time alone for yourself, and then also needing and wanting time to be with other people. What I say is that neither extreme is completely good for you. It is not good to isolate. That is one of the biggest things that every grief expert says. Don't isolate. Don't just sit in your bed all day long. You're going to do that some, but push yourself to get out, get with a friend, go to a support group, get a counselor, a coach, be with somebody else who's been through a loss, whatever you need to do. Go to church if you have gone to church in the past. You've got to push yourself to get out and do something in order to move forward and learn how to cope, how to find your hope again, and how to heal through this. So I want to relate this to a couple things. Think about in life, when we want to learn something more, get educated in something, or focus in on something, we often have to cut back other responsibilities in our life, right? So the example I thought of was college. Say you're in your 50s like me, or whatever age, right? And you decide to go to college, or even as a young person, but you were working full-time. Well, if you're going to go to college full-time or even part-time, you may need to now not work so much. It's too much to do both, right? It's too much. You won't do well to your education if you keep doing the same amount of things. You're probably going to have to cut back somewhere, right? So maybe you work only part-time, or you just don't work at all during that time. This is normal to life, that at times when we're going to take a step forward to grow or to work on us, we have to cut back on other responsibilities. So another illustration I think of, and that Wolfeld even talks about, is physical issues. Okay, whether we have a wound, a deep cut or something like that, or a broken leg, or we're sick, or anything else. Those are just some examples, right? Say we got to get ready to go through surgery, and we're having massive problems with a part of our body all around. What do we have to do? We have to cut back. We have to cut back on what we're doing. We have to take more time for ourselves. We have to do more self-care. We have to take care of that wound. We have to get off that leg. Okay, we have to allow other people to help us, right? I mean, if we're on crutches and our leg is broken, we're more likely going to need help. We're going to have help people helping us move things, carry things, more practical help, right? We have to rest more. We shift. We have to cut back on, maybe taking care of our kids, or being a caretaker, or doing less for our ailing parents. Whatever it is, something has to shift in order for us to get better. And if we don't, what's going to happen? That broken leg won't heal, or that wound won't heal, or we won't recover from the surgery. Again, just examples, but right, isn't that very real in the physical realm? It's a lot more obvious, although there's a lot of people that fight it even in that way. So we have to realize our broken heart, our soul, is just as important as our body. In fact, it's more important, because what is going on with our soul will reflect into our physical health, will show up in our physical health, especially if we don't deal with our grief and get it out, which I've talked about on many videos. We must get our grief out. We must express it in whatever way. It has to come out, or it will affect our health. It will affect our relationships. So if you're always isolating and spending too much time alone, you won't probably process your grief enough, right? And vice versa. If you're always with people, always working, always helping, you're not going to have that time alone to just figure out what you need, to figure out what works for you, figure out how to help yourself along your grief journey. So that's what I want to emphasize, that you're not being self-focused, and that need to self-focus is not wrong. It's right. It's healthy. And in fact, as Wolfeld says, when you do that and you take that time, whether it's a year, months, again, there's no judge of how long that will take you. Everybody's different, and you're not going to know until you know. When you do that, you're all the more ready going to be able to come back and help others once again. I definitely, again, see that in my life. God did move me right into, not right away, But he moved me into grief ministry in 2022, and we started our grief support group. Was I still working on me? Was I still healing? By all means. He used that because that was my calling, but it did help me. But did I still have to get counseling in the midst of that? Yes. Did I need a lot of time alone? Yes. So I want to share something with you that is a praise report, a victory for me, and it's exciting. But again, don't compare me to yourself or anybody else. For me, I just, in this last month, was beginning to say out of my mouth to a few people, I am whole again. My full joy is back. I am whole again. I'm not broken anymore. Does that mean I won't cry again? Yes. Does that mean I won't have a grief burst at some point? It doesn't mean that at all. But I am whole. All I can say is that I can say it after the fact. I can't tell you years ago that I would be able to say that within 5 years of my daughter dying, and grandkids being adopted out. I can't tell you that that is, ahead of time. But all I can tell you is I know that it's happening now. So, and this year, God is opening more doors for me. I'm going to be doing grief workshops. So if you know anybody who would like to come to a grief workshop, they can't commit to going to a support group. Maybe they can't make it to our support group because it's Monday nights, or maybe even other support groups. It just doesn't work in your schedule. But you do want to have kind of a crash course on how to help yourself with your grief. I'm having a workshop on March 8th here in Pasco County and Newport Richey area, Florida. It's actually going to be in Hudson off 52 and 19. So if you are interested in that, or you know somebody else who would be interested in that, please reach out to me and I will give you all the details. It's going to be in a shopping plaza off of 52 near 19. So I'm stepping out. I got to go to 8 middle schools last week and speak with fentanyl fathers. I wanted to do that last year so bad. And I thought it was my time last year, but it wasn't my time yet. But all of a sudden, boom, out of the blue, I was asked to do it, to step in for the leader and go to Miami, and God willed it, and it was amazing. And so, our timing is not, we don't always know our best timing. That's where trusting God helps a lot. And I just want to emphasize that we can only learn, day by day, moment by moment, and we also can learn from one another. That's why support groups can be so good. We learn ideas from each other, and I hope my videos are helpful, other people's videos. But bottom line, we can only learn with having some time alone to process and think and pray, and we don't know what's going to happen and when anything's going to happen in life, right? I mean, some things seem for sure, but even that can change, right? Even for sure things can change all of a sudden, and they do, and our lives do change. So being close to the Lord and relying on His timing, but it's just evident. A lot of things are not evident until they're evident, right? So I just want to encourage you, you are not being selfish. The more overwhelmed you are, the more heartbroken you feel, the more crying and releasing and sad and depressed you are, the more you may feel like you're going crazy, any of those things and more. The more you feel that, the more you need time for you. And time for you means alone time. Time for you means time with other people who are healthy, who can help you along this, to learn and get ideas on what to do and what works for you. Because what worked for me, if I share all of them, which I have on many videos, one of those may work for you or several might, but you might find total other things that work even better. So bottom line, you're good. Keep it going. Be kind to yourself. Take time for yourself. Cut back on your responsibilities and know that it's okay. All right? So please share this video out if you think of a friend who needs this message. I'm not a polished, video. My videos are not as professional as some others. But I really want to help others. And I know the Lord wants to help others. He understands our grief and He knows what's best for us. So please share this video out and stay tuned for next week as we continue along this journey of knowing that I'm not crazy and you're not crazy. And let's find out what's normal so that we can throw off that thought that there's something wrong with me. It's not fun to go through this. It's not easy. So let's not add on to our grief. Okay. God bless you. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.